won a Grammy. Man, I should have won a Grammy. Should have won a Grammy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grammy Grab Fest. That's decided, that's our name.
Yeah,
RoseMarie and I are
I
happy
like
with it, so we like it. I am Jesse Jackson, and joining me, all things Grammy related, is my podcast sister, RoseMarie. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Jesse. How are you?
I am great. We took a week off. We both had a little bit of. I went to see Bruce on Sunday night and Tuesday night, and I was gonna record on Monday night, but you got the chance to go do a little something fun, didn't you?
I did. I got to go see Iron Maiden here in Tacoma, with a nice lady named Corey Rucker. Thank you again, Corey, for giving me the ticket to have a chance to go see them. Never seen them before. Never had a metal experience live before, and it was amazing. I wouldn't trade the experience for anything in the world.
That sounds awesome.
It was
Uh,
great.
well, I am very happy.
Thank
Um,
you. And I'm
so
happy you got to see Bruce like back to back.
yes, it
That
was.
is
It
so
was a
cool.
lot of fun. Eh, and my wife, God love Linda, she's like,
Hmm.
okay, ha have you seen enough now? I'm like, no. I said I won't lie. If there was a chance to see him again, I would. And she just shook her head. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. But yes, I'm that greedy. So yeah,
You funny.
yes. All right. So let's go back to uh the ceremony. It would have been in 1984 for the 1983 records. And I have a feeling that this is going to be a thrill to talk about.
It sure is. I could not wait. I am so excited to talk about this podcast. This is just I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah. So were you still overseas during this time?
Well, by this time I had made it back. I'm trying to think if I think it was in February, wasn't it? But did they do them in February? I'm trying to
Yes,
think.
February 28th,
Yeah. See,
1984.
I was still there and I probably missed this one too, but I didn't miss the hoopla that went with it.
Hmm.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everything that was going on with the amazing stuff that had been happening musically.
Yeah. What's interesting is I don't remember how, but somehow this week, as we're recording this, you had tweeted something about John Denver, and
Yeah.
and I talked about it, and I don't know, that's out of the 80's bandwidth, but you and I might still need to do a John Denver themed
I
episode.
would love to do a tribute to John Denver.
Yeah.
He had so much empathy and compassion for music. I mean, he loved to write music, he loved to sing, and he loved playing his
Mhm.
guitar, and he loved Colorado, and he just loved everything. He loved the outdoors, and he just seemed like a regular guy, you know?
Yeah, so we may have to get that scheduled once we get past our Grammys. I think that would be nice to do a kind of set. And he's close enough. I mean, the reason I brought this up is he hosted this award
Yeah.
ceremony.
Isn't that
So
bizarre?
it
That is
is.
like crazy. I
Yeah.
didn't even know that. Yeah, until I just read it. It was just
Yeah.
like, whoa.
So the big news was Michael Jackson was nominated for 10 categories. The Police had nominated for 4 categories.
Yeah.
And we'll start out with, as we always do, new artist.
New artist.
So, Big Country nominated, the Eurythmics,
Mm-hmm.
Men Without Hats,
Mm.
Musical Youth, Culture Club. Now, last time we recorded, um, we really there was a lot of great people, including Colin Hay and all these other people that were nominated
Mm-hmm.
for you know new artists. So
Yeah, best new artist. Yeah.
yeah, so let's talk about any of these stand out to you?
Please. Yeah, I'll just take over from here.
Okay,
Uh,
Ron.
I just, like I said, I don't always remember, the show, and I probably missed the show, but I'm looking back on this, and I'm going, yeah, totally. Culture Club, Eurythmics, Men Without Hats, amazing artists. Just to come, just coming out, and obviously they were. It's I'm rambling. It's rough being a band overseas in Europe or Australia, or just trying to break into the American music market
Right.
anyway. And to have that many artists, new artists at one time, musical youth, you know,
Hmm.
Men Without Hats, Eurythmics, big country. I mean, you got Scotland represented, you've got England represented, you've got us. Where is Men Without Hats from? Are they from Australia or New Zealand?
I'll look.
Yeah, we'll have to,
Yeah.
listeners, look that up for us.
Yes.
And then you got musical youth, from the Caribbean, and it's like, how did that happen?
Canadian Men
No,
Without Hats from Canada.
okay, they're from Canada. Sorry, New Zealand and Australia. I didn't want to
Yeah.
give them to you if that wasn't your wheelhouse, but it was just like not one American on it,
Yeah.
not one. And I listened to all of these. There is not one time in my playlist on my iPod that any of these songs aren't in it. I mean, this is just my standard stuff
Wow,
that I listen
that's nice.
to. And to know that the winner, was Culture Club. Who didn't love Boy George and Culture Club,
Right.
because they had it going on. They had the look, they had the style, they had the moves, the
Hmm.
voice, everything. However,
Yeah.
it would have been nice as I look back, because we do that hindsight thing in a show,
Yeah.
and it would have been nice if the Eurythmics would have gotten it. I really thought that they probably stood out more as far as is different, unusual,
Yeah.
cutting edge, all of the adjectives that you want to add on to it.
Culture Club certainly had, the hits and
Yeah.
the beautiful, Karma Chameleon and
Oh
all
yeah,
these
their
different
costume
things.
designers and their
Yeah.
set designers are just amazing
Yeah.
people for their videos. Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
But yes, the Annie Lennox, just an amazing voice.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the and I so I think I would have given it long term, I think maybe the Rhythmics, but
Mhm.
you certainly can't argue Boy George and Culture Club continued on for a while. They weren't
Oh,
just one hit
absolutely.
wonders. So yeah,
Right.
I
And
think
and
that
so did Big Country, and
yeah,
Musical Youth, Men Without Hats. I think the nuance of them probably got them into the category.
mhm,
That was a very catchy song.
yeah,
It was very visually entertaining, if not a better word for that. And it was doable. I mean, you could hear the intro on the radio, and you know exactly what
right.
song that was. To this day, I hear the opening and intro, and I go, yes, safety dance. I don't think their other work made it quite. It didn't, fill the gap quick enough to make, them popular here as much as they could have been, I think. Pop Goes the World probably was their other hit, but they ended up having other albums and things like that. But they're actually still touring, which I thought was kind of cool.
That
And it's all the original members too.
yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so moving on, let's go to Song of the Year, which, as we always do, is given to the writer of the
Mm-hmm.
song. We have Michael Sambolio, Dennis McCoskey for Maniac,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jackson, Billie Jean, Michael
Mhm.
Jackson, Beat It,
Mhm.
Lionel Richie, All Night Long, and
Yeah.
Sting, Every Breath You Take.
Yeah.
Um, this is one of those where you have the artists actually writing their own song.
Mhm.
Um, so, and I'm kind of hold on. I think we're going to have a Michael Jackson discussion before this is over, right? Because this was the year of
Yeah.
Michael. But
Yeah.
Sting, Every Breath You Take,
Mhm.
from the Police is the winner.
Mhm.
Did they get it right?
Um, I don't want to sound like a turncoat. I think they got it right for all practical purposes. I'll give them that.
Okay.
I'll say that they got it right with Sting because Sting was really starting to show his true colors as far as his involvement in pop music. I mean, they've made the transition. They've done everything. The Police, well, he actually went on to do more, but the Police themselves did quite a bit together as a band, and each one of those band members stands out, equally.
Hmm.
And I think that Sting was just really, I don't want to say cutting his teeth on, but he was into his own. He was really starting to show that, hey, I got chops. I've got, the ability to write this pop music that everybody's loving, and I can do this, and the people are agreeing with him. And they're like, yeah, you can. So I honestly think he was pretty much destined to be who he is. And for him to be a solo act and still command such attention, that says a lot. I mean, he's right up there with, Paul McCartney and, Michael Jackson and all the main solo artists that came out of that era that can still hold their own. Of course, Michael's no longer with us, but, you know, uh, we still have Paul McCartney and we still have people like Elton John and Billy Joel, and they're still going strong and they're still making albums, they're still touring, and they've really stood the test of time. So I'm gonna say they got it right. I really am.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you. The Every Breath You Take is a really great song, and I really like Beat It and Billie Jean and
mm,
even Maniac for that matter and All Night Long. But
yeah. Hmm.
of complexity, I do think Every Breath You Take kind of is has that just something special. And sometimes the your best the company you keep shows how good you were. And I think these
Yeah.
nominations are all songs that have stood the test of time and that are, still catchy and still, love hearing.
Right. And to keep, the video for this is very, very noirish
Yes.
or black and white, it's very
All the smoke.
subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, it stood out and it said a lot. I know when it came on AMTV or, VH1, whatever I was
Yeah.
watching at the time, I would sit down and watch it because it just held that much intrigue. And you listen to the lyrics and yeah, it does kind of sound like a stalker's anthem, but
Yes.
it
Sometimes.
also it also sounds like, somebody did somebody wrong
Hmm.
and, you know, basically karma's going to catch up to you,
Yeah.
and maybe it's not he's going to be watching them. Maybe just in general, they're
Hmm.
being watched because they're either unfaithful or they're, untruthful for whatever reason. And I think probably that's what that came out of.
Okay.
Truthfully, I don't know.
No, I think you're right.
That's just me.
No, no, no. Um, so let's move on to record of the year, which is what you give to the artist. We had The Police, Every Breath You Take, Michael Cimbolio, Maniac, Lionel
Mm,
Richie, All Night Long, Irene Cara, Flashdance, What a Feeling, and Michael Jackson, Beat It.
is indeed.
Um, so they gave Sting the Grammy for writing Every Breath You Take, but they
Hmm.
gave Michael the Grammy for the artist in Beat It, which is
Right.
one of the 7 Grammys he won for his 10 nominations. But if you think about it, he was competing against himself in Song of the Year because Beat It and Billie Jean were nominated
Hmm.
against each other. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's crazy. That was
yes,
totally crazy.
absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't have been happier.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just thought to myself, this is such an amazing time for him because he just come out of um the Jackson 5 had been defunct. Went through a whole lot of turmoil, breaking away from Motown, and we all know how record companies can be with, their labels and their this is our name and this is our music and all of that. And then, as luck would have it, he found Quincy Jones and his first album, his first solo album. Besides that, the ones he'd made before as an adult, Off the Wall, totally amazing. Didn't get a whole lot of, I don't think, recognition award wise, but he was just coming into his own. And then, here comes the Thriller album, and he just nailed it. Put
Mhm.
the roof on the house and nailed it.
Yeah, and we we'll talk about this when we get to album of the year, but Off the Wall was an amazing album.
Totally.
And then, when he just Thriller was he became he was during this time
I'm waiting for you to say it.
just it I mean bigger than Elvis, bigger than the
He
Beatles.
became Michael Jackson.
He became Michael
Plain
Jackson.
and simple.
Yeah,
I know he was already Michael Jackson, but this is
he
Michael
became
Jackson,
yeah,
the
I
formidable force that you do not want to reckon with.
yeah, it was um so do you agree that for record of the year it should be Beat It over the others?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look at everything else and like I say,
Mm,
I liked it and
yeah.
it was great. And I probably have all most of that in my iPod, but
Yes.
nope, Michael's got it.
So let's go on to album of the year and then we're going to talk a little bit about Michael. But first, let's go through his competition.
Yeah.
Um, The Police,
Mm.
Synchronicity,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
great album.
Excellent album.
Yeah. There is, just like you said, they're coming on their own. It has certainly been someone they have continued. Sting has continued to shine. So really good stuff.
Mm.
Flashdance was a good soundtrack. I don't
Mm.
know if it was worthy of being album of the year.
Right.
Thoughts?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Right.
I have not done the research to figure out, but I'm sure there had to be better albums that came out then. The late great David Bowie, Let's Dance, a wonderful album.
Yeah.
And definitely, I think, worthy in the discussion.
Mm.
Um, Billy Joel's An Innocent Man, and in a lot of ways, my favorite Billy Joel album.
Mhm.
I just love that the style of this and all the music, every song was
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and we will probably include, we'll have to do a Billy Joel tribute um, to talk about him. I just love his music and so many great songs. And
Yeah.
then Thriller.
Then Thriller.
And I,
That
you
had
know,
to have been a tough call.
yeah, it must have been.
I would not want to have been a judge on that panel
Right.
and look at this and go, ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough
Because
one.
this is not necessarily a popularity contest. In other words, just
No,
because Thriller
mm,
sold tons of albums, does not mean. But
yeah,
Modern Love, and going back to David Bowie, Modern Love is, I think, one of my favorite David Bowie
mm,
songs.
me too,
And
totally.
then, Let's Dance, China Girl, Without You.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other side, we have Ricochet, Criminal World, Cat People, Putting Out the Fire, and then Shake It. So it is an absolutely amazing album.
Mm-hmm.
And I think timing is a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was a different year than
Yeah.
Thriller, good chance that might have won because David Bowie absolutely um, had the chops
Mm-hmm.
to want to do that, and to get the
Absolutely.
credibility.
And you
Yeah,
think about all these people that are in this list, these are all seasoned veterans by now. I
absolutely.
mean, Michael Jackson probably had been in the business longer than
Yeah,
all of them, and you
yeah,
go coming up against Billy Joel and David Bowie and the Police and,
yeah,
the Flashdance soundtrack. Irene Cara had already been out for, a few
yeah.
years. So she's probably the, like so-called new kid on the block.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is a tough call.
And then to go back to Billy Joel, um, he had Easy Money, An Innocent Man, The Longest Time, This Night, Tell Her About It, Uptown
Mhm.
Girl, Careless
Yeah,
Talk, Christy Lee, Leave a Tender Moment Alone, and Keeping the Faith.
yeah.
Just, gosh, what a
Tons,
great,
tons of singles off that
yes,
album.
and just what a great, solid,
Hmm.
release.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But then we
Then
had, as you said, Michael Jackson became Michael Jackson.
exactly.
Um, Want to be starting something, Baby
Mm-hmm.
Be Mine, This Girl Is Mine, featuring Paul McCartney, Thriller, featuring Vincent Price, Beat
Mm-hmm.
It, Eddie Van Halen playing guitar, Billie Jean, Human Nature,
Yeah.
PYT, Pretty Young Thing, and The Lady in My Life.
Mm-hmm.
And I I don't think there's a record this did not break,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
And when we try to, if we do not focus on the strangeness, the
Mm-hmm.
weirdness that Michael in toward the end of his life,
Hmm.
the think of him as the artist, um he was amazing, you know?
Total superstar.
Yes, he was. Hmm.
I would not have wanted to have that responsibility.
No,
That's
no.
got to be rough.
Yeah. And I'm reading here that the 14-minute long Thriller video, they
Hmm.
were running it twice an hour MTV.
Yeah.
And it was such a culture, you
Hmm.
know, Weird Al Yankovic, Eat It,
Hmm.
the he did the moonwalk at the Motown reunion.
Yeah.
I mean, this was unbelievable. And I think there would have been shock if it had not won album. Um,
Yeah.
do you have any memories of that album, RoseMarie, and how it felt to you?
Wow. Um, how long have we got? Um, one of the lots. One of the most memorable of those moments. I was in Germany, and we were, I can't remember what we were doing, or it was my kid's dad, and there was a couple of friends of ours, and somebody comes running over, and he's like, "Man, have y'all heard Michael Jackson's new album?" And then I'm like, "He's got a new one?" It's just like, we're in a time warp here. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, "Man, you gotta listen to this Thriller song. It's awesome," or something to that effect, or the slang of the time, whatever it was. Yeah. So here we are. This guy had a cassette player in his car, fancy schmancy. And so we get in his car, and we're all like five of us, like all crammed in there. And he fast forwarded to, it might have been the first song on the second side. I can't remember. And he's like, "Y'all gotta listen to the whole thing. Nobody talk or anything, 'cause this is awesome." So, so we're listening to it, and I'm thinking, "What? This is like, this is amazing." And they're like, we're all just like grinning at each other and not talking and nodding our heads and stuff. And then, Vincent Price's part comes on, and I went, "Oh!" And he's like, "Who's that guy? Do you know who that guy is?" I'm like, "That's Vincent Price. He's like major scary horror guy." He's like, "I couldn't tell who it is." And, he said it was Vincent Price, but I wasn't really sure. So we're just like all trying to, talk at once and everything. But it was just like, we got to the end of the song, and I was just like, "Man." And the dude goes, "Let's listen to it again."
Yeah.
Like, okay. I don't know. I think we were in that car for like 20 minutes. But it was just that um spellbinding, just everything just stood still. Time stood still. People stopped what they were doing. Yeah. If you didn't own this album when it came out, there was something wrong with you. You were either from another planet, if you were a monk from a monastery, something that made you not want to buy this album was not cool. Yeah, and so of course, within, I think before the week was over, we actually owned it. So yeah, and then there was not a song on there that I didn't know all the words to, and didn't not there's not one song on there that I did not love. So
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember, so, Lynn and I are dating,
mhm,
and these songs were just on the radio constantly.
mhm,
And the videos were on because um, you threw it on MTV as background noise when you were having friends over or talking, and it was, um, he was just amazing.
mhm,
And this was before you watched this young, and you were just so proud of this young artist and
mhm,
this musician finding his
mhm.
voice.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, and hats off to Quincy Jones too. I mean,
Yeah.
he's made all of that possible.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, they are together, um, better than, the sum is bigger than the total, separate. Because
mhm,
I think
mhm.
those two together really found the best of each other,
I
and
think
it
so.
was amazing.
Mhm,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Anything else of the night or things you want to discuss?
Well, I'm just gonna peruse through here. I did see a couple of, because I'm always looking while you're talking.
Yeah,
Best comedy recording, Eddie Murphy,
good.
for Eddie Murphy, and he came up against Bill Cosby, Joan Rivers, Monty Python, and
Hmm.
Robin Williams. So hats off
Yes.
to him for that. I know that you like country and western music.
Yes, I do.
So here we got, the best country and western performance duo or group with vocal went to Alabama. The closer you
Yes.
get. Hey!
Yes.
I remember doing that, karaoke that one a few
I
times.
bet.
Yeah, female best country and western vocal performance went to Anne Murray. A little good news. She's always a good
Yes.
songstress, singer, songwriter. I always enjoy listening to her.
Absolutely.
Um, just a lot of like the
Hmm.
gospel music. I think Shaka Khan won a few Grammys for her R&B performances. Wynton Marsalis, best jazz instrumental performance. Trying to get down to the Los Lobos best Mexican American performance. I thought that was kind of cool. I like them.
Yes.
And then you get pop instrumental performance, George Benson,
Ooh, very cool.
best rhythm and blues song. Ooh, Michael Jackson, Billie Jean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, and then you go to the rock performance, and he wins again.
Yeah.
So it's just like all of these categories, he just cleaned up, totally cleaned up. Best video, however,
Yeah.
short form went to, but he wasn't nominated, so that's okay. Girls on Film by Duran Duran and Hungry Like the Wolf.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so there was a lot of really good um, people being recognized, a lot of artists coming out. I can imagine what that audience looked like with all these people, all these heavy hitters out there.
Yeah.
Pop female vocalist went to Irene Cara. She did end up winning, so kudos to her. Pop
Hmm.
male vocalist. So Michael won pop male vocalist. He won rock male vocalist, and then he won R&B male vocalist.
Wow.
I know. Is that crazy or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Pat Benatar for Love is a Battlefield. She got best rock female vocalist.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is true because
Yes.
there's very few women out there that have the range that she does.
Yeah. She is something special. I agree.
And how do you put that nucleus in that little tiny body? I'll never know. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is about. I say this every time. Her and Billy Joel and Brenda Lee and all these little tiny people. And
Yes.
they got these big booming voices. I just do not get that.
Absolutely. So we've wrapped up another year. It was a thriller, as we knew it was going to be.
Yeah.
RoseMarie, how can someone find you?
Well, I am at 80's Music Girl on Twitter, and I'm at 80's Music Girl on Instagram, and I am at 80's Music Girl on Facebook.
Okay. And I am at Jesse Jackson DFW. You can hear me talk about music on Set Listing Bruce. And at 80's Reboot is our main show's Twitter feed. So at 80's Reboot. And we appreciate Dave letting us play in his channel.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any final words?
Um, just keep rocking the 80's. Thanks for the memories. If you ever have a question or you have something stuck in your mind, a lyric or something, feel free to just contact either of us. We pretty much know all the songs that have ever been written. So.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
I know.
Yes.
I'm challenging people, let's put it that way.
There you go. Yeah. Very cool. But just remember, Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I am the one, but the kid is not my son. She says I am the one, but the kid is not my son.
Hear that, Billie Jean?
There you go. All
There
right.
you go.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80's Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80's Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80's Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.